Oh, they was violent, yeah.
But that
I
didn't
mean,
worry
in their own little way, I suppose, they was violent, yeah. So was we, wasn't we? So, you know.
But that didn't worry you and your brother, no?
Never. I tell you, again, that if they put me and my brother in a cell with them two, there's only two people coming out, that's me and my brother. No brains. Both of them, I mean, there was both no brains. What I would say, no brains, you know.
Yeah.
They wanted to be gangsters. They set out to be gangsters. Used to read gangster magazine, gangster comics and things like that. You understand what I mean? I mean, it never happened with me. I mean, I'm running a business and trying to get a few quid and, you know, make yourself successful, a bit of ambition. But with them, that's what they wanted to be.
Every day there was shootings in the area, so every time you went out in your car, you were expecting to get shot at, you know, because it was that rife at the time. Even though there was 22 shootings, I mentioned in my court case, that was 22 that got reported. There was a lot more than 22 shootings over that time. But just nothing like that had happened in Newcastle before, I didn't think, and they didn't know what to do with it themselves. They just had to sit and monitor it and pick the pieces up when it was finished. That's the way I viewed it.
Word reached Paddy Conroy that the Harrisons had desecrated the graves of his father and brother. As far as he was concerned, somebody would now have to pay.
My dad's grave got desecrated, smashed the gravestone up and whatnot. It was obvious it was him, but we couldn't prove it, obviously.
According to rumours on the streets at the time, a friend of the Harrisons, Billy Collier, was offered £5,000 to dig up the body of Paddy's father, cut off his head and throw it through Paddy's front window.
He was going to get paid, or they'd offer him the money to dig the grave up. So I went, right, that's all I want to know.
Billy Collier was then taken to a friend's apartment by David Glover, tied up and tortured. Ferris firmly believed that the Thompson family were responsible for framing him.
Only two people knew where I was going. It was Arthur Thompson Sr. and Arthur Thompson Jr. And I firmly believe it was Arthur Thompson Jr. that set me up.
Ferris confronted Arthur Thompson Jr. about being set up when they met in Barlinnie prison. Stammering and shaking, Arthur Jr. denied all knowledge of any such conspiracy. However, in an effort to save face, when the pair had parted company, Arthur Jr. began telling everyone that he was compiling a hit list, and Paul Ferris's name was at the top.
Arthur Thompson Jr. signed his own death warrant when he was in prison. He'd be talking about who he's going to kill. And when he got out, issuing the threats again, that resulted in his death. So if anybody's to blame for his sudden demise, then it's self-explanatory on you can't be threatening people because sometimes people take you serious.
We had other friends, William and John Moore, they were brothers. They were quite older than all of us. They were like 15 years older. And a feud started to occur in 2003 between John and Darren, which then, just because you're mates with someone, involves everyone to do with that gang.
When you say there's a feud, what sort of things are happening?
Just fights and cars getting smashed up and people smashing windscreens and threatenings and fights on the main roads and just stuff that escalated out of control to where we are, just a mess. It just ended up in a mess.
On New Year's Day 2004, the killings began. 19-year-old Danny MacDonald, who was said to be responsible for the grenade attack, was murdered. 4 months later, innocent teenager Craig Barker was shot dead. Darren G, the intended target, survived.
There was a killing of an innocent young lad when the people wanted to kill Darren. Craig Barker was actually killed by mistake, which sadly is a young life lost. He was another good young lad. A hitman was hired The hitman was meant to have killed Darren but killed Kray.
Wayne Dundon was the head of the McCarthy-Dundon faction and has been described by the media as a killing machine. He's currently serving life for a murder he says he did not commit. Has justice finally caught up with Wayne Dundon, or is this a case of noble cause corruption? I went to visit Wayne in Mountjoy prison to find out, and I left troubled, very troubled.
Do you think you've been denied justice because of the person they say you are?
Totally. If my name wasn't Wayne Dundon, I wouldn't be in prison. I've been told that for a fact by every barrister, solicitor, everybody.
In December 2004, Wayne Dundon and his 14-year-old sister Annabelle entered Brannigan's bar in Limerick. Ryan Lee, the barman, refused to serve them because of Annabelle's age. Threats to kill were made, and 30 minutes later, a man wearing a crash helmet entered the bar and shot Lee once in the groin and once in the leg. The pub was later burnt to the ground. 6 months later, Ryan Lee and his employer Steve Collins gave evidence against Wayne Dundon and he was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. The gunman was never traced. 4 years later, in an alleged revenge attack, Steve Collins' son Roy was gunned down in the Castle amusement arcade. Within hours and without a shred of evidence, the media had linked Wayne Dundon to the murder. The following year, April Collins, who was the partner of Gerald Dundon and the mother of his 3 children, was arrested for threatening a witness in a separate criminal case.
April Collins' relationship had broken down with Gerard, and she was trying to pull away from the family as such, kind of gave them an opening. Also, you know, they all jumped on board here. They were all picking individual cases of which they would make the statements on and implicate Wayne and his brothers in different crimes. So it all kind of stemmed from there, from the breakdown of the relationship between April and Gerard, and she basically just wanted them all off the scene, you know, from there on in.
Where did your time at the INLA come to an end?
It pretty much came to an end with Declan Duffy, who was leader of the INLA in Dublin, who was you know, was a character, you know, was involved in backing up drug dealers and supporting drug dealers while pretending to be some kind of crusader against drug dealers. But you know, he's unscrupulous people, and if you move it up then to the likes of the real IRA, where you had these characters in Dublin who tried to promote a culture of fear, but they were no more than street gangsters and street cowards, and tried to live on a reputation that because they were part of an organisation that they were to be feared, but they turned out to be nothing more than supporters of drug dealers as well, and that was their downfall, because they were so intertwined in the drug game that eventually led to their demise.
So what happened to Duffy then?
Well, Duffy was expelled from Dublin by people who would be against drugs. They were cavorting with drug dealers, and eventually that led to their demise. That they weren't clear cut, they weren't black and white, they weren't a force against drug dealers.
So what happened to Duffy then? He was expelled from Dublin?
He was expelled and he was sent packing from the capital.
But he's not dead now?
He's not dead. All right.
Yet.